Welcome to the Ripple Podcast.
The podcast where we tell you stories about strange and unusual events and the ripples they create.
AKA the story after the story.
I'm Rosa.
And I'm Angela.
And this is the Ripple Podcast.
Get Ripple, the bright new drink that's ring-a-ding flavor, Ripple.
So,
For Frank.
we're recording. Okay.
Talk into the microphone.
I'm talking into the microphone. Can you hear me now? No, you can't because you don't have headphones on. But apparently...
Floaters.
Oh. Okay, we're starting this show off with a shot because...
Eric said so.
Eric made us.
To the rim.
No.
Start over.
Nope. I will not be able
Start
to...
over.
I will
Start
not...
over.
Not
So
To the
let's
rim.
dink it and sink it.
stink it and sink it.
Dink it and sink it.
Stink it up and sink it.
Stink it and sink it can be an entirely different thing.
Whew. That's good rum.
Nanners. Hello and welcome to our little show.
This is episode 2 of the night, which means we are in drink 42 of the evening.
I don't know what episode number this actually is.
So
It's a mystery. Don't try to math right now. It's not going to work.
I think this is like episode probably 14 or
No.
15 from when we started
No.
in the real world.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But in our new recording, fancy schmancy gear, I think this is only episode 5, maybe?
Well, this is going to be an exciting episode because I do not remember my story at all.
So this is a redo. We have started redoing our original horrible recording episodes. And this one was originally recorded around Halloween time. And don't start pre-reading. I see what you're doing
okay,
right
I
now.
just read my very first line and I have no idea what it means.
Okay, that's
Do you want to
okay.
hear what it is?
No, when it's your turn to tell a story.
Oh,
I
it's
do.
your turn
It's
first?
me first this round.
Okay.
So our theme this time was not necessarily a creepy type story. It was
Creepy places in our hometown.
right. So
All right.
mine was Hotel California, where I actually went to school.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
Such a lovely place.
Such a lovely face.
So here's a little backstory on the Camarillo.
Wait, I feel like
sorry.
we
Am I
need to
rushing into
discuss
this?
that. Well,
Okay, let me. We just recorded a whole episode, so I'm kind of going fast already.
crack right now?
No, I'm on rum.
Take a shot.
Okay, slow
Ready to go.
down. Take a breath. So I think first we need to address the name Hotel California because it is very controversial and debated. Even my own coworkers say that it's not in fact Hotel California.
Such a lovely place.
So Hotel California,
Such a lovely.
the song from the Eagles, references...
Wait, are you telling my story?
No,
right
no, no. I'm just saying a place that some people, especially people who live in Ventura County, believe to be the place that Rose is going to talk about. But
And
there's
maybe-
a lot of people who
maybe-
don't.
Maybe, just maybe, I talk about that in my story.
Okay, but you went out with it calling it Hotel California. Okay. And then the other thing that I was going to say really quick while I step on your story is that I did see them in concert. And when they...
Really?
Yeah.
When?
When I went to Stagecoach. They were there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it could have been the number of Coors Lights that I had, but it could have been reality as well. But I'm pretty sure when they projected, because like big concerts, they have the big screens, the festival screens where they
Right.
play videos and stuff.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that what they were showing was the place that you were talking about. I'm almost positive that was the place.
I wonder if we can find that somewhere.
Probably
Someone's
not.
recording of it.
I mean, if we could, it's...
So we haven't looked at these stories for October, November, December, a good couple months.
Yep.
And I'm looking at mine right now.
It's going to be new to us both.
I don't remember it, but I also don't have any of my references printed out. So I'm going to have to come back and somehow edit that so
Sure.
that my plagiarism is not happening on here.
Okay. It's probably Wikipedia.
Well, I'm sure.
All right. Story time. Let's go.
Okay. In 1932, the state of California purchased 1,760 acres of the Lewis Ranch, which was originally Rancho, oh man, I'm already messing up words,
Guadalajara.
No, not Guadalajara. 8 o'clock, everybody. Guadalajara, which is a Mexican land grant of 1836 in Camarillo, California. It was originally built in a co-partnership between the state of California and the Federal Public Works Administration, which had been founded by President Roosevelt's New Deal program. So on August 15th, 1933, the groundbreaking began. And the groundbreaking meaning the building of the California State Hospital. 3 years later, on October 12th, 1936, the doors of the Camarillo State Mental Hospital opened.
Ooh.
It housed, at the time, just 410 patients.
Did they have pink champagne on ice?
They had the lovely smell of colitas.
Oh.
That first year, and they were all male, but by 1957, there were over 7,000 living in the facility that became actually a home to men, women, and children.
I cannot imagine that place having 7,000 people living in it. It doesn't seem that big.
7,000's a lot.
That's a lot of people. Bunk beds. Lots of bunk beds.
Lots.
Like triple bunks.
Probably 6 in a room. Maybe
Sure.
8.
That's a lot.
A lot. So Camarillo State Hospital, that rum, wow. Camarillo State Hospital was a psychiatric hospital, and it was known for treating illnesses that had previously been labeled as untreatable. Many known patients who were developmentally handicapped or had mental illnesses such as schizophrenia, autism, tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis is not a mental illness.
Well, no, these are just mental illnesses such as schizophrenia and autism. No. Okay, so they had illnesses.
They had ailments.
Yes.
Some of which were mental, other which were not able to breathe.
But there were also pedophiles.
Oh.
And violent and sexually violent patients.
To Catch a Predator all over again.
Part 2. They were all housed at this hospital. By the 1940s, the hospital
a mixed bag
of nuts. Ooh, I need to edit that part out. By the 1940s,
we all are.
The hospital started taking children as their patients. If they could see my prescription medication list, I would definitely be at Camarillo State Hospital. An area was built to keep the children separated from the adults. The adolescents were also separated from the children. So they had like a adolescent building. We talked about this before.
Yeah, because I was like, what the hell is the difference between a child and an adolescent?
Right. And then
because I didn't know there was a thing.
I'm 5 years old and under, and I'm 8 years old and over. It maybe even like puberty played a factor.
Ew.
It's quite possible. But there was actually different like buildings.
Weird.
They were separated so they weren't together. So the children were in one, the
I hope you
adolescents
can't
were
hear
in
me
one, the
burping.
adults were in another. And then even later, as the years went on, the high school was added. And some people began their stay as a child, and as they aged, they moved from like one ward to another.
Well, yeah.
Makes sense, totally. So in the 50s and 60s, the hospital was the forefront of developing and administrating drugs for their patients. So they were using tranquilizers more frequently. Some of the drugs obviously had a lot of side effects, especially when they were being given specifically to like over medicate the patients.
Wait. They were intentionally over medicating the patients?
Absolutely. So the workers wouldn't have to deal with them.
This is documented? This is known?
Well, I think later.
Are you making assumptions?
No, this is actual proof.
Ooh.
I probably got from Wikipedia. And it's like, I'm going to give you, instead of one tranquilizer, I'm going to give you 4.
Hey, if one's good,
4 has to
four's
be 4 times
better.
better.
Absolutely.
But
that's the way to do it.
The staff didn't have to deal with the patients. It was making their job non-existent almost.
It's pretty fucked up.
Especially if someone was, a troublesome patient and maybe hard to deal with, they would just knock them out.
Sleepy time.
Night. So a lot of these patients were being left in isolation rooms and many times actually left in restraints. So the hospital was also known for giving lobotomies, and they were frequently using electric shock treatments and hot, cold water treatments.
Wait, I feel like we just glazed over some of those things. Lobotomies, that's a big deal.
A little bit, yeah. No.
So, okay, lobotomies, correct me if I'm wrong, but they go in through your eye or your nose, and they scoop out a piece of your brain?
I don't really know where they go in. And actually...
Eric, eye or nose? Eric says eye. They go through your eye. They do a little scramble and a scoop. And then they pull out, and then you're all good.
Oh, yeah, then you're cured.
Oh, wait, Eric has commentary. What?
They don't go through your eyeball.
Right. They go, yeah.
Right.
And they have to chisel a hole.
Like an ice pick, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
They chisel a hole.
Pull part of your brains out. They make you
not have
and then
a
you're chill.
seizure or not be autistic or not have schizophrenia or tuberculosis anymore.
It's
And then
common treatment for upset housewives.
Sure.
oh no, I thought that was vibrators.
Mm-hmm.
That too.
And I don't know if we caught Eric, but he said it's common treatment for upset housewives. And Rose and I both chimed in.
Vibrators.
That's vibrators.
That's a
What are you
cure-all for
talking
everything.
about? That's not lobotomies.
So lobotomies
so that,
were
and then
commonly
shock
given.
treatment.
Mm-hmm. And hot, cold water treatments. So hot, cold water treatment is where a patient, they're submerged in hot water.
And then cold water.
And then they take them out. But then they say, oh, here's a towel. Let's wrap you up. But the towels are actually frozen.
It's a trick surprise.
Woo! Yeah.
Oh my God. I would pee all over the floor.
I would.
Cryo treatments.
Oh, that's a good point.
What point? I missed
Eric
that.
just pointed out that people pay a lot of money for that and they get cryo treatments, which I've actually been wanting to do ever since I heard Joe Rogan talk about it.
Would you also like a coffee enema?
Oh,
Make sure
I don't know. I feel like when I drink coffee, I give myself an enema.
A reverse enema?
But I'm not opposed to it. I'm open-minded.
Or open asshole. One or the other.
take a shot.
In 1967, the hospital began to house patients with developmental disabilities. So that means patients with mental retardation, again, autism, organic brain disorders, and other
As opposed to that GMO brain disorder.
Right. There was a huge difference in abilities and the levels of patients since they were all labeled like DD.
What does DD stand for?
Developmentally
Double D?
disabled.
Oh,
My boobies.
sorry.
They were all housed together. So these DD patients, there would be patients that could communicate very well, but maybe were on the very low end of the autism spectrum, to patients that probably couldn't speak, communicate, were violent. They were pretty much mixing different abilities together. Which
Okay.
Not necessarily is a very safe,
But
smart
in
idea.
their defense, you can only have so many sections until people are in isolation.
Which they did have as well.
Oh,
Like I mentioned
well,
before,
never
the
mind
people
then.
In restraints even.
Oh.
So there were many programs for the hospital residents. There were educational and vocational programs. They taught everything from arts and crafts to everyday
That's fun.
skills.
I like that.
Totally. Remember the bowling alley?
Ye- I vaguely remember it. And Eric, you might remember this when we were there after it had closed. There was like 2 or 3 lanes, and
It was a very small
there was
little
no
bowling alley.
return. You went and got your ball.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't really remember the details of it, but I kind of remember it being there.
No, it was it was pretty much a city within itself. They also taught everyday skills that would help patients hopefully when they return to, quote, like the real world once they checked out. So like cooking, cleaning,
okay.
hygiene.
So there was an actual rehabilitation program for them to move into. They weren't sentenced for life. There was a program to kind of to teach these people some life skills
Exactly.
and allow them to go on their merry way.
That was the goal.
Wait, we have Eric commentary.
A lot of them weren't ever going to leave, and everybody knew that.
Okay.
They wanted them to live as close to a normal life within the facility as possible.
A lot of them weren't going to ever leave. It was their forever home, but a lot of them were there just for a short time.
But that's why they had like the dairy.
According to Eric.
So the hospital, like, it quickly grew to its own little town. There was a farm where they grew their own food. There was the dairy, which we all know and love and call Scary Dairy, and even a bowling alley. Half a mile away, there was housing built specifically for the employees that worked there, as well as their families, so that the hospital could be staffed 24/7. And there's someone named Gail Green, who was a past resident of the hospital, and she was committed by her parents in 1966. She said she had a childhood growing up in Oregon, but by her adolescence years, she developed paranoid schizophrenia. And one of the treatments that she was given was shock therapy. And this is a quote from her that says, "They strap those electrodes to your head and tie you down and then zap.
Ooh.
You lose control and you go into total body convulsions. When you know they're going to do that to you, you get all tense and scared."
So did she say, or is there anywhere in that article that talks about like what made them feel the need to send her away for that? Like, was she acting out in some sort of way that was dangerous, or because that's a pretty extreme measure to send her out of state to a facility?
Exactly.
Like, what was going on?
They definitely searched out a place to send her. And I don't know if it was her parents or if it was doctors or maybe if it was even, the state of Arizona and California.
Oh, I thought she was in Oregon. No? Okay.
Oregon. Trying to figure out where to put her. She was sent to California State Hospital before the adolescents ward was even built. So at the time, she lived with the adults.
Ooh, that's not good.
Adults, exactly. They had criminal records. They were sent there because maybe they were a pedophile.
Ooh, let's throw them in together.
Uh-huh.
It's a great plan.
So she lived at this hospital until 1968, and she was originally there at 1966. And then...
Wait, so she was there for 1 year?
No, 66 to 68.
1 year? 2 years? 2 years, sorry.
66,
so she was there...
68.
Okay, sorry.
And then
I don't know how to math right now.
She was released, but then forced back in 1977 because she was deemed a hazard to herself as well as others.
What did she do? I need to know.
I don't know, and I don't even know if she was an adult at this time. I'm not sure how old she was. But that year that she was sent back, she lived in an over-medicated catatonic state.
Oh.
So she says, this is another quote from her, "I didn't know where I was when I came out of it." And then there was a friend of hers that lived with her at the hospital, and that friend used to drag her into the shade when it got too hot because she was actually unable to realize how hot it was and how long she had been in the sun.
Shit. So she was just like laying out there frying?
She was literally like comatose but awake all the time.
Oof.
Her family never once visited,
Mm-hmm.
and she
That's kinda
actually
mean.
went AWOL 3 different times. But
I remember this part. Okay. Yeah,
but
this is pretty great.
Every time she was easily spotted near Highway 1 before she got too far. She was wearing like her hospital clothing, so she was obviously, easily spotted. And every time she was brought back in by the hospital bus, she would be strapped down with leather restraints. So the psychiatric technicians, they often called her bitch and crazy N-word.
Oh, that's unnecessary.
Not at all necessary. And she recalls many of the patients being abused, mistreated, and there were many, quote, accidental deaths. So I looked and looked and looked and looked for some of these accidental deaths, and I couldn't find any, whether they've been really well hidden or maybe not proven. Maybe they're just, folklore at
Well,
this point.
yeah. I mean, there's probably only so many accidental deaths that they can file before it looks suspicious. But at the same time, is this coming from the patient there?
So this is coming strictly from this Gail Green lady.
Okay. So, I
She's
mean,
saying there were many accidental deaths.
she was also catatonic. So,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, I don't want to
Well,
call
there's-
her out on that. But
there's
if
some
she
other
doesn't know to
people.
go in the shade, is
Were
not.
there people really dying around her?
Yeah.
I don't know. But by the 1970s, investigations on the hospital began. So the hospital was under scrutiny for their actions and treatment of patients since they had opened in 1936. They were ordered to stop performing many of the procedures that they were kind of known for. Probably their lobotomies, probably their hot-cold treatments. The patient numbers began to dwindle slowly over the years until finally on June 30th, 1997, over 60 years after they first opened, the hospital closed its doors.
That was Ronnie Reagan, right?
Correct.
Okay.
In 1999, August of 99, the Ventura Learning Center moved to the Camarillo site as CSUN-CI, which is California State University Northridge at Channel Islands.
Hey, I know someone who went there.
Hey, that was me. I went there. I graduated technically from there. So that was my school
You-
at the time.
Dragged me along to a class one time.
I did?
Yeah.
At Northridge?
Mhm.
Or Channel
At
Islands?
Channel Islands. Yeah. And I sat at a class
Do
one
you
time.
remember what class it was?
It was some sort of child development or
That was-
education type. It wasn't like, math, science, English. It was a class
like a
towards.
psychology style class.
Yeah, and it was pretty small. Small class.
Classes were teeny tiny.
And I
at the time.
remember the professor was like I don't know, like a 30-something dude. And he was like totally cool with me sitting in on the
You
class.
remember way more of that than I do.
Oh, well.
So do you remember walking around the campus and seeing like pictures still drawn on the
Oh,
walls?
yeah. Well, Eric and I were on that campus before it was a campus, when it was still a closed state hospital.
Not a
Yeah.
but a closed hospital.
Because, do I tell this story?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So, I don't know if I should. Okay, so Eric and I were used as quote
Victims.
unquote victims for a search team.
Right, for training.
And it was a training for search dogs and search and rescue people. And we wandered around the state hospital and we found a spot. When we were like, how old do you think we were?
12 probably.
But I remember like
You were pretty
it was
much-
super creepy. I remember seeing barrack style beds and they were just like almost like cots, but like
They were,
an
absolutely.
upgrade.
Well, if it was 98, 99, so I would have been like 12 or 13.
Like, so I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. and
were
you were
playing
12 or
hide and
13.
seek at the hospital.
Yeah, we were pretty much playing hide and seek at the hospital, and
Mhm.
it was super weird. I remember seeing like stuff drawn on the walls, but
Right.
and thinking back then, I thought it was
Bed frames and
patients,
stuff.
but I don't know because I mean, people came in and vandalized really, really quickly.
They
so
did, but there was a lot from the patients because I actually went there when it was still a functioning hospital with my psychology class from high school. We went on a field trip
and they left you there.
and
they
they
kicked
checked
her
me in
out.
and we got a tour of the hospital with patients still there. And at the time, this was probably 95, maybe 96, and the hospital closed in 97. So we were probably one of the last high school tours that they had before they closed. And there weren't that many patients at the time. But I remember drawings on the walls. And I remember the doors opening and closing. And, the
The
sound.
doors opening and closing, like
the
on
locks,
their own.
like being locked.
Oh,
in and
I was
out.
like, wait, aren't doors supposed to open and
They
close?
did. The doors opened and then they closed.
Are there
What a
ghosts?
concept.
Tell me about the
But
ghosts.
no, it was the drawings that you saw were probably majority from the patients.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, Scary Dairy was vandalized like well before the hospital closed. It's still super creepy, but it like got pretty well trashed
Oh, it's
before.
covered in graffiti.
Yeah.
Scary Dairy now.
People take Instagram photo shoots there.
Oh yeah, it's a very
Oh, you're so hip.
highly-
You're pretty much a model.
So in 2002, like I said, CSU Channel Islands became its own college. So the Northridge School and Channel Islands opened up and took over the building, and a lot of the campus at the time still, like I said, looked like a hospital. Now you wouldn't know. I mean, there's still some bars on some of the windows. There's still some parts that look like a hospital.
You wouldn't know it though unless you were really, really looking.
Exactly.
And you and I have both gone back
Probably
fairly
at least
recently.
once or twice a year we go
And
back.
I mean, it's a beautiful Spanish
Oh my gosh,
style.
it's
It's kind of like a
gorgeous.
mission. I mean,
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, so you wouldn't know unless you were really, really looking, and even then, you could kind of chalk it up to being like, oh well, there's bars on the windows because these windows get broken. I don't know.
Because that's the style.
Yeah.
It's the Spanish style. But a lot of the buildings, which we haven't gotten to explore too much, are still abandoned. There's still buildings out there that are just sitting there. And that's when they say that the hauntings happen.
Ooh, spooky.
So a lot of the hauntings were mainly children. They hear...
Why are they the creepiest?
They're always the creepiest.
Children's laughter is one of the creepiest sounds.
Did you get to that episode on You yet, where
Oh God.
he sees himself as a child, and he's like, every scary movie I've ever watched has told me I should not be following this ghost child. Have you seen that part yet?
I haven't, but that's...
You'll get there.
Ugh.
It's good. But, so children, they hear a lot laughing, crying, calling out. There's a woman that's dressed in white. And
Always.
she's frequently seen by the bell tower, which is still the bell tower. It's a giant...
Is she a dead bride? There's so many dead brides.
No, I don't think so.
They're another one that like to haunt people.
No, she's asking for directions to the chapel. So maybe she's a bride.
Oh,
maybe
well,
she doesn't wanna
maybe.
get married. But she's...
What way is it? Oh, this way?
This is the
Far,
way to
far away from the bell
chapel.
tower? Okay, I'll head that direction.
She's often seen wandering the halls. There's a janitor, and you can hear his jingling keys. The sounds of people scratching walls and doors slamming open or shut is frequent.
Those opening and closing doors again.
You know, I mentioned those doors. That was a little precursor. There's a male ghost that frequents one of the women's restroom stalls. Just one of the stalls. So you got to make
Just
sure you're
one?
in the right stall.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So you can see his feet, but then when you open the stall door, he disappears. There's a nurse that walks the halls. She looks in the rooms. Another lady runs the halls, and she silently screams before disappearing.
Silent
silent
screaming.
scream.
That's another thing.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know what's worse, the silent screaming or the actual screaming.
Probably the silent one.
I hate it.
There's a man in white, and he... I should not laugh at this one, but this one always makes me laugh. He's seen spinning around and around the streetlight. So he's just like, you look out the window and you see this man, and he's just spinning and spinning and spinning.
It's like a
in
moth,
circles.
actually. By the way, so this is the second podcast recording of the night, and it's getting late and later, and I am the type of person who is in bed by like 9 o'clock.
It is
And now,
8:23.
after you tell me these ghost stories, I get to drive home.
In the dark.
In the dark, my phone is completely dead, and I don't have a phone charger in my
that's
car.
dumb.
Yeah, it is. It's in my truck, and I brought the car. But anyway, I just like to point that out.
You'll be fine. I'm sure one
Are
of
you
these
sure?
little ghosts will just ride along shotgun with you.
Perfect. I hope they're silently screaming because I really don't want to be disturbed while I'm driving.
They're spinning around your light in your
I will
car.
not tolerate any child laughter.
So there's another guy. He comes out of one of the balconies, and there's a lot of balconies on that
There
property.
is, yeah.
And he asks for help, but then he vanishes.
Oh.
So myths and smells and faces appear and disappear.
Wait,
So it sounds-
smells? What kind of smells? Would it
I would guess the smell of like
colitas?
Band-Aids.
Band-Aids?
That'd be my guess. That's the first
Alcohol?
thing that comes to mind. Like
Lobotomies.
rubbing. Ew, I would not want to smell a
The
lobotomy.
smell of burnt hair after shock treatment.
Or maybe colitis. So apparently the hauntings are nothing new. So back in 1962, the entire night staff was fired. The management thought they were playing tricks and flipping over beds and turning on and off the lights and slamming the doors. So they fired the entire night crew. But these tricks didn't stop after the crew was fired. And then one of the most
sucks for them.
one of the most famous residents, he was a man named Charlie, or they called him Bird Parker. And he was a jazz musician, and he was sent to live at the hospital for 6 months in 1946 by a judge after his drug and alcohol addiction got him into a lot of trouble. Parker had walked into the lobby of Hollywood Civic Hotel. He was naked and playing his saxophone.
Oh, that's so great.
He was so high at the time. When he left...
I mean, is he really hurting anybody?
He's totally naked
I
and
mean,
playing the
he's
sax.
just
He's
having a good time.
But when he left the hospital, he wrote and recorded the song Relaxin' at Camarillo.
Oh, we should look that up.
So maybe we can play that at the end. People say that the ghost of Charlie Parker still roams the halls, and they hear music playing from a saxophone that isn't visible. And these are some fun little things that I found about California State Hospital. So NSYNC's mental hospital set for the video I Drive Myself Crazy was filmed at Camarillo.
Do you know that song?
I looked it up because I wanted to watch the video. And you can totally... They're outside. They're in the quad area. You can.
So that was
totally
well
tell.
after it was a college, right?
NSYNC. I don't have a year on this. When was NSYNC popular? What year was that?
2002. I don't know.
I don't either. But I probably after it was closed.
What? Do you know that song though?
Not well. I don't think it was one of their top ones. I actually didn't even recognize it when I watched the video.
Okay.
But I'll play it for you.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So scenes from The Ring and Buffy the Vampire Slayer were filmed at and around the hospital grounds. Wait, we have the song.
We had the song.
Pause.
I think I know what it is.
It's 97.
Oh,
shit.
97.
97? I thought they were 2000s. Oh, man. We've got some serious frosted tips going on.
Are you playing it?
I'm trying to, but there's no sound. How does this make sound? There's JC. And next up, we have Joey. He's looking at some nudie magazines. Chris has dreadlocks? Is that a thing? I don't...
He did for quite a while.
Oh, I did not follow NSYNC very well.
You knew their names better than I did.
Well, I was reading them off of the screen when their name popped up.
You were so smart for
Can
a
you
second.
see?
Oh, wait, watch this. Watch.
Okay. They're driving around what looks like...
Fancy old car.
Okay, I see the Spanish-style windows. That is not Camarillo. They're going to a hotel. She's like, no, get out of here. She's grabbing one of them by a jersey. Okay, I'm going to fast forward. This is boring. Get to the song.
We have to pay royalties for having these songs on here.
I feel like I've heard this song. Yeah, but they're on the inside most. We can cut this out.
There's a bunch at the end.
Okay, I'm gonna fast forward to the end. I'm not crazy about this song.
Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, it looks like most of it they're on the inside. And I don't see what's kind of interesting is that like they made an effort to go to the California State Hospital to film this because it's the
California State Hospital.
it's a crazy house, but no one would know that based on that video.
No, you just have to do a little
You just have to be in the know.
But yeah, The Ring, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they were filmed at the hospital grounds. Season 4 of The Biggest Loser was filmed there.
I remember that.
That
Yeah.
was 2007. But at
I
that
watched
time,
that one. It was good.
It was still it was already CSU Channel Islands. There's a punk group called Fear, and they wrote a song called Camarillo about the hospital. Frank Zappa wrote Camarillo Brio. Brillo? Brio. I don't know that song either, but yeah. And then
Frank Zappa is somebody.
right, but I don't know his Camarillo Brio song. And then the biggest, like, true rumor that we already kind of talked about at the very beginning is Hotel California. And there's the lines you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. The Eagles, however, deny that this song is about the state hospital, but those of us that live here, we know it's really about it. You know this, or should know this, that The Big Bang Theory, Season 4, Episode 14, The Thespian Catalyst, Sheldon Cooper says to Penny the following quote, "Yes, I see a sign. It says Camarillo State Mental Hospital," during their lesson of improv acting.
Oh, I don't know that episode.
Oh, you're like the biggest Big Bang Theory person.
I'm not. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I thought you were. I thought you loved that show.
No. I mean, I enjoy it, but I haven't followed it like season to season. I haven't watched it in quite a while.
Well, look up Season 4, Episode 14.
I do know they reference Oxnard in that series as well.
So there's got to be some local writers around.
Well, the main chick, Penny, I don't remember her actual name, the actress. She's from Thousand Oaks.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. But I also don't watch that show.
It's good. You should watch it. No?
Film crews
It's good.
have quit because of strange things happening. Items being disappearing, or then they reappear in other locations or rooms.
Maybe they just got robbed.
It's quite possible. But then there's electronics that stop working. There's heavy items that fall over. And then there's the children laughing.
Yep, I'm out. I quit.
Things disappearing, you're okay with. Electronics stopping working, no
That's
problem.
fine. Whatever.
Heavy
We'll take a
items falling
break.
over, you can deal with it.
I mean, I've had them fall on me before. It's not a big deal. You get over it.
Then you hear a child laugh and you're out.
I'm done.
So here's my ripple. Bloop, bloop,
That
bloop,
wasn't the ripple?
bloop, 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 bloop.
Okay.
So remember that girl I was talking about before, Green?
Yeah, I remember her. Sure.
Green, the girl that was talking about
Totally.
being in the sun and being moved.
Oh.
Yeah, Gail
Yeah.
Green.
I'm melting.
She visited the hospital a week before it opened as CSCCI, along with some members of her group called Project Return. All of these people had lived at the hospital. And their reason for visiting was to remember and preserve and tell their stories of the people that lived and died in places like California State Hospital. They called what they are doing, quote, the mental health client movement. And mental health patient advocates around the state have banded together to form regional committees, and they're under the rubric of the California Memorial Project. In an effort to research state institutions, they want to restore archives and hospital cemeteries, and they want to document their own survivor movement. They're advocating for patients in mental institutions, and they hope that the treatment that they received will be more humane than what Green and her committee received. So they talk about the good things that happened to them while they were in the hospital, but also the things that should have never happened. And then this is a quote from Project Return. It says, the next step for the trip to Camarillo, a self-help group run by and for the mentally ill, Project Return is part of the California Network of Mental Health Clients, which together with the peer self-advocacy unit at Protection and a nonprofit law firm. Okay, I'm taking that whole section out. And Green remembers, like, my job when I was 17 years old was to take people back to their unit after shock treatment.
Oof.
She says that was not fun.
Sounds rough.
So Green now has a partner and a home in Long Beach and 2 adopted children. So
Oh, that's really
she
nice.
had a lot of things, obviously, that didn't go too well for her at
Right.
California State Hospital, but she is now doing a lot of good, helping advocate for people that are currently in mental state hospitals, as well as that lived in them before, just to kind of help, remember maybe the people that were buried in those cemeteries that family didn't come to visit, or maybe people that were treated not so well, and she's just hoping for better for people that are currently living in places like that.
That's very, very nice of her. That's pretty amazing to have the strength to come back and do that.
Well, I'm sure it brought back a lot of memories that they probably had forgotten about. She's with a big group of people, and they, rode the bus over, up that long hilly little windy road. And
I'm sorry, what bus?
a little bus that the Project Return was on.
Oh, okay.
So
That's really nice.
Oh my god! All right,
That's
ready
very,
for-
very nice.
I'm ready for a
It's
story
really
from you.
sweet. Can you hit pause? Because I have to pee right. Hey. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's happening?
It's okay. We're back
We're back.
after a short little pee break.
Okay. So you and I are both rediscovering this story that I completely forgot about.
It's okay.
Again, whoa.
Wait, why did you get 2 of those and I only got 1?
Because I drank one at home.
That's not fair.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So.
Those are both empty.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
I
sad.
brought a 4-pack of hard seltzers, but there was only 3 in the box because I already drank one at home.
And now they're all empty.
And now they're all empty. And Rosa is without a drink. You get to drink some rum.
I'll drink another shot of this. Okay.
Okay.
Tell me a story.
About a spooky place here in Ventura County that I actually, coincidentally, was just visiting last weekend.
Oh, that's right, Calvin.
Calvin. I just went there last weekend to go to dinner, and I had a delicious lasagna and also, how's that, rum shot.
Wow, that was good.
I also had the Gentleman's Agreement cocktail, and it was really good. It was like kind of like an old fashioned, but they had some sort of blood orange syrup that was in it that was really tasty.
The Gentleman's what?
Gentleman's Agreement. It was really, really good. Yeah, I had a good time.
Maybe we should make this at the next fundraiser.
You know what we should do is we should stay there, because I really, really wanted to stay there. The entire time I was there eating dinner, like I wanted to go explore the hotel. I wanted to go into the rooms. I wanted to.
We should record an episode.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do that.
Let's do our own very own ghost investigation there. While I was eating dinner and walking to the restroom, I was welcoming ghosts to come visit me.
Tell me how you did that.
I said, "I'm open, ghosts. I am here.
I'm not closed.
You can come to me. I am not afraid." And
how'd that work for you?
first off, Adam didn't really appreciate it. He thought it was weird and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait, you were saying this out loud?
Yes, of course. How else are they supposed to hear you? Are they mind readers?
Well, they might be. They're good.
I don't think ghosts can read minds. No, I was saying it out loud, and I was also doing hand movements with it to let them know to come to me. But yeah,
you recorded some of that.
it didn't work. Well, I was texting you the entire time,
Yeah.
and I was not visited. Oh, I did show you. I did tell you what I did see, though. So, as I will get to later in my story, one of the very haunted places is the restroom.
Oh.
And
Restrooms seem to be a popular haunting place.
And as I was walking to the women's restroom, the men's restroom was to my left. And the door, for whatever reason, was wide open.
Of the men's restroom.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I don't know the typical procedure for a man to go to the urinal.
That just sounds funny. I'm going to go to the urinal.
Particular urinal was
I'm
very
going to use
close.
the Facebook.
It was very close to the door. And as I walked by, I saw...
A penis?
Yes, I sent you a text
I
message.
did not see a picture.
I said, I didn't see any ghosts, but I sure saw a wiener that I didn't want to see.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, that was my experience last weekend at the beautiful Glen Tavern Inn, which everyone should visit. Again, revisiting these notes. My very first line says, "Cowboys, speakeasy, Indians, TB kids."
Are you sure you want to visit this place?
All right. I don't know what any of that means, but let's move on. So, In 1874, Nathan Blanchard planted the first citrus orchard in Santa Paula and started the Limonera Company. Shortly after, the Southern California Railway was created and citrus was able to be shipped around the world, making Santa Paula the citrus capital of the world. Take that, Florida. But we still are the lemon capital of the world. I will give it that. So in 1886, oil production started, and Union Oil made Santa Paula its headquarters. Are you trying to take a picture of me?
No. Keep going. Tell your story.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So Santa Paula, it now has oil, it has oranges, it has a train. Now it needs a fancy schmancy hotel to lure in the businessmen, investors, and workers to our beautiful little town. So in 1911, a committee in Santa Paula, made up of a bunch of like bigwig business guys, they got together and they decided that they needed to build this hotel to bring in potential clients and make it a big deal and
Big attraction.
yeah. So together they raised $25,000 to build the Glen Tavern Inn.
What year is this?
This is back in 1911.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. How many dollars is that into today's dollars?
See, 25,000 in 1911 with interest and living wages. It'd probably be close to $236,100.
Wow. Okay. I was going to guess like a couple mil. Like 2.5.
Oh.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know these things. I don't math. So they purchased a piece of land near the train station. Business offices. It contained, okay. So they purchased this piece of land. They built this Glen Tavern Inn, and it contained business offices, a kitchen, telephone booths, which are still there.
The telephone booth?
Yeah. I walked by them.
Like take Eden there and go, hey, do you know what this is? What do you do with this? And see what she would say.
I wouldn't even know how to use them. Back from 1911, they would be totally different.
I want to see them.
We need to stay there, I'm telling you.
$100 in 1911 is almost $3,000 now.
Okay, so Eric, who just looked up, $100 in 1911 is $3,000 today. So what is to $25,000? Do that math. All right, mathematician. What's up?
$million.
What?
No, you're making
No
that up.
way. You totally just made that up. I don't. You can put that
Okay.
calculator in front of me, and I still don't know how to make that work.
Keep going.
But all right,
I
so
liked my
moving
number
on.
better.
That was a good one. So on May 16th, the Glen Tavern hosted a grand opening, and they sold tickets for $2 a piece, and it sold out almost immediately. There's 150 guests. The dining room was decorated with pink roses. Menus were printed on brown paper, and they served a beautiful salad of lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise.
Ew.
Yes, disgusting.
Lettuce,
Sorry.
tomato, and mayonnaise.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much $2. Yeah, it probably was freaking iceberg. It's disgusting. That was served along grilled sweetbreads, which initially I was like, ooh, okay. It turns out grilled sweetbread is not in fact sweet bread. It's organ meat, which I don't know if you knew that. It's gross.
Yeah, I remember
You didn't know that?
someone like going, oh, that's sweet bread, and I'm like, sweet bread. But then
Thinking
people
like
told
cinnamon
me,
rolls,
right,
donuts.
sweet breads, like even like little Mexican pastries.
Right.
No, it's like brain and intestines or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's gross, and I don't want none of it. The main course was roasted turkey and potatoes. They had a 5-piece band perform ragtime music for the guests to dance to.
I'm about that.
And well, okay, are you about the dance starting at 10 p.m.? Because I'd be in bed by then.
Oh yeah, 10 p.m. I'm just getting started.
Sure. All right. So Hollywood came to town back in 1911, which is shortly after the grand opening. Warner Brothers first filmed Passions Inherited
That sounds
Passions-
fancy.
It sounds like incest to me. I don't know. That was the first big movie of the time. Later on, John Wayne, Mary Pickford, Carol Lombard, Marilyn Monroe, Harry Houdini, and Rin Tin Tin
I love Rin Tin Tin.
all visited the Glen Tavern Inn. Side note, Glen Tavern Inn was and still is a dog-friendly hotel.
Really?
Yeah, Rin Tin Tin.
I don't even remember you even telling me that the first time.
Yeah, so Rin Tin Tin had, like, he was welcome to the suite, and he had his own, I don't know if he had his own room or,
Probably
I don't
had
know.
a
Probably.
trainer or somebody
Yeah,
in there.
sure, but
That's so cool.
it's super cool. I love it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
The hotel was super successful with 3 large industries constantly bringing in a stream of businessmen. So you had the citrus, you had the oil, you had the Hollywood folk. And they had a 3rd floor. And the 3rd floor at the time was not developed into like a bunch of rooms and a bunch of suites. The 3rd floor was just an open room.
Okay, what for?
Well, not intentionally, but at the time, it turned into a gambling hall and brothel.
Oh, fun.
So when prohibition came about,
Cheers.
cheers, the 3rd floor turned into a speakeasy. The benefit of being on the 3rd floor is that you could actually look out the window, and you probably still could today, because honestly, Santa Paula hasn't grown that much. And you could see across town. So if there's police coming across town, you'd be able to, like, okay, close it up, cap it off, put it away real quick.
Because someone's coming.
Exactly. So during this time, movie companies were really into making Western movies, and Santa Paula was like the perfect backdrop for the film. It had the kind of like that deserty, westerny feel. So while filming, the cowboys would stay at the inn, and then they would gamble their paychecks away on the weekends. So one cowboy, who we mentioned earlier, Cowboy Calvin, he was on a winning streak, and this went on for like week after week. Excuse me. Until someone finally like sobered up enough, and they realized that he had an ace up his sleeve, and he was cheating.
Literally.
He was cheating. Good old Calvin. And how do you deal with cheaters?
I know.
Shoot them in the head.
Of course.
So Calvin was murdered on the 3rd floor. And to this day, the ghost of Calvin is said to be walking the halls of the Glen Tavern Inn, and guests report hearing footsteps and spurs jingling down the hall. And during renovation, when they were like turning this big open hall into like actual suites, they found a bloodied cowboy hat just behind the wall, and it had 2 bullet holes in it.
Is that for real?
I
Or is that
mean,
myth?
none of this is actually, there's no death certificate or evidence or anything. It's just like, it's there. It's in the Glen Tavern history. And can it be proven? Probably not. Is it a super cool, fun story that's been going on
Totally.
generation after generation? Absolutely. Do I want to believe that Calvin is in fact there
I
roaming
do.
the halls?
I do.
The other thing, and I don't know if I actually put this, it doesn't look like I put it in my notes, but Calvin liked to frequent the women's restroom.
Oh, yeah, you started saying that.
Mm-hmm. So when I was in the women's restroom the other night at the Glen Tavern Inn, I was calling for Calvin to come hang out, and he did not show up. But apparently he's supposed to be there.
Can you buy, like, one of those ghost detectors? What are they called? Like, they have initials.
Ghostbusters.
ETGs?
EVT.
That's EPT.
EVT?
Early pregnancy detector?
No, EVT.
Can you buy
Ghost-
those on, like, Amazon? Maybe I should find,
Absolutely.
like, one of my rich internet Facebook friends to send me some
Oh,
Amazon gift cards, and we can buy that and then
Probably.
take it to the Glen Tavern.
let's do it. Oh, I actually have that in my notes here. Okay. My notes that I haven't looked at for a
Okay.
month. So, excuse me. Around the same time, sex worker. Oh, do I not have her name? I was like looking for a name right here. Apparently, I did not find her name. A sex worker was murdered and found decapitated
Oh.
in a closet of room 307.
Can we request a room?
Probably. So guests report
On the third floor.
if you stay there at the Glen Tavern Inn and you stay in room 307, you'll hear noises coming from the closet because that's where they like stuffed her dismembered body. Apparently, I don't know. And then once you open the door, you won't find anything there, but you will smell a perfume type of smell
Well, that's
of like
better
lavender.
than smelling dead body smell.
Absolutely. I would take that as a pleasant. What the hell are you doing right now?
I'm thirsty to
Can we
check.
podcast?
Yeah, I'm a multitasker.
Can you not? I'm telling you a story about a dead, dismembered sex worker.
Shoved in a closet. See, I'm listening to every word you
Mm-hmm. So she smells like perfume, like lavender perfume, actually.
say. Okay.
So one paranormal investigator that I found on YouTube spent the night and filmed the room while he was sleeping. And the video caught this closet door repeatedly opening in the middle of the night. And I guess like he went back, he closed the door, he put some tape over it. I don't know what that's going to do. And then the door would open again. So I don't.
Pushing the tape open,
Yeah, I guess.
and he's in the.
He's in
307
the
room?
dead sex worker room, the
Huh.
dismembered sex worker. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And, I don't know what that proves, but apparently people reported smelling lavender perfume coming out of the closet. And another investigator, also courtesy of YouTube, used the EVP,
Okay, EVP. What does it stand for?
electric,
Okay,
I don't know, vibration.
pulsator.
That sounds like a sex toy.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what EVP stands for. But apparently when they used it in this room, they discovered a man saying, "Emily, I love you."
Whoa.
Yeah. And that was on Paranormal World.
Okay.
"Emily, I love you." I don't know what sort of context that would be. Maybe it was the guy who murdered her and he just he loved her so much she had to
Maybe
die.
Her name was Emily.
Maybe her name was Emily. Maybe they picked up a radio frequency of somebody driving by.
Do you know they have jetted tub rooms at the Glen Tavern? I may be on their website.
What
right
is it?
now.
Oh, like a
Hot tub.
jacuzzi jets?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
You know, their rates are actually very reasonable.
What kind of amoebas do you think are living in those jets?
What are the things, the brain eating things
Amoebas?
from the Disney?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How much are they?
So for a just like a general room, like a standard queen room, $85 a night.
Okay, that's not bad.
And then for like a Friday or a Saturday night, it's $130.
They have weddings there.
It's actually really beautiful.
It is really gorgeous.
But if we want to get a jetted tub room,
How much is it for room 307?
that's what I wanted to look for. Honestly, that's what I was seeing. If you could request a certain room, you'd probably have to call.
Well, I mean, and two, if we stayed on a Wednesday, Thursday night, whatever, I bet it's
Those
not
rates
super.
are cheaper.
Well, yeah, and I bet that room's available more, and we could totally go back to work or whatever,
That'd be fun.
unless we're haunted all night.
It is $50 extra.
For?
Your dogs.
Oh.
Totally worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
I was just looking that up.
In 1920, the inn needed to expand, so they converted the upstairs debauchery attic into additional rooms, bringing the total of rooms to 50.
Okay.
So it's still not a very big hotel. So in March 1928, the little town of Santa Paula was hit with the engineering disaster of the 20th century.
We know that.
You know it. So that night, the St. Francis Dam broke, and while people were in bed sleeping, they were hit with a 120-foot tidal wave of mud, concrete, and everything else that the water picked up along the way. And that included houses, cars, and trees. This wave traveled through the Santa Clara Valley and drained into the ocean, taking many of its victims with it. Some bodies were found out towards the Channel Islands. That's how freaking far it went.
That's really far.
Yeah.
That's really, really far. That's
It is.
my official
Well, and
statement.
then they even found bodies from this dam break all the way down in San Diego. That's gnarly. So up to 500 people were killed, and many of those victims were never found because, like, how could you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a freaking giant-ass river going through town.
A fast river.
A very fast river.
With horses and...
Debris.
Yeah.
Oh, horses. Oh.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you how this relates to the Glen Tavern Inn. So somehow the Glen Tavern Inn was able to withstand this disaster, which that alone is just like why? That's incredible. It's bizarre. And then Harvey Van Norman, an assistant to the man widely blamed for the St. Francis Dam disaster, William Mulholland, stayed at the Glen Tavern Inn after this had happened. He stayed in room 305 for 3 months. And he did this to kind of assess the damage of Santa Paula and kind of come up with some sort of reparation amounts and just kind of to see how the town and the community was doing. And it was just his job to make that assessment of like, what do we owe this people? How can we repair this town? So several years later, he died. But for some reason, he still continues to return to the Glen Tavern Inn.
Mulholland.
No, not Mulholland, his assistant, Harvey Van Norman.
Okay.
Who's the one who stayed there.
Uh-huh.
Some people believe that when you have like something weighing on your conscience and on your mind for so long, you'll return because you have unfinished business. We should have all heard that. We know that. We've heard of that on a TV show or two. All right. So let me tell you about the hauntings.
Into the light.
One of the workers told the story about a guest who was chatting with the man in the lobby. Quote, he was dressed in a suit, an old-fashioned brown suit with a tweed jacket, and he had on a hat. They had a long chat, and then they went about their business. She went to get another coffee, and when she returned, the man was gone. And then she asked the hotel concierge, where's the gentleman who was having coffee with me? He was talking there, like by the fireplace, like everybody saw it. It wasn't a big deal. And then the concierge said, oh, people have seen him, but he's not actually a guest here. He passed away years ago. And this lady said she just had cold chills up and down her arms and neck. And her husband did as well. And they described him. When they described him, it was, in fact, Mr. Van Norman. And then the concierge showed them like a photograph of him. And they were like, oh, yeah, that was him.
That's crazy.
So I guess he like shows up pretty frequently and he just like hangs out.
Him.
So I went through the lobby when I was there the other night and I like asked him and he didn't.
Maybe you just need to pick one ghost to focus on. Maybe just Calvin or maybe Mr. Harvey.
Okay, so I'll pick Calvin.
And then I'll pick Mr. Harvey.
Yeah. So I'll hang out in the women's restroom. With Calvin.
And I'll just hang out at the bar. So there's not a lot different there for me.
Okay. So that particular story, just to quote my sources, that was from the BC Star. So at some point in Santa Paula history, I don't know when, because I can find the exact details, maybe around the time of the flood or shortly after the hotel, shortly after. The hotel was used, bring back the TB quarantine. Tuberculosis.
Yeah?
Yeah. So kind of probably around the same time that the Camarillo State Hospital was used as a quarantine. The hotel was used as a quarantine. And this is what people believe has caused the hauntings of the small children in the hotel.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. Just beautiful. So apparently when they're doing some sort of renovations later on, workers kept finding handprints and footprints in the paint. And they were small children handprints and footprints.
Not raccoons.
Not raccoons. Actual small little children who were wreaking havoc
That gives me chills. Honestly.
even after their death.
No, thank you.
One worker there at the hotel who was doing renovations said that he saw little girls who would be wandering the halls and then they would just walk through the walls.
Oh, that wouldn't scare me at all.
Don't want none of that. Apparently through the years, 2 managers have died within the hotel because I guess they have like a living quarters there, and they are known to roam the halls as well. There are.
I wonder how they died.
I think they're just natural causes. There wasn't anything like extraordinary about it that I could find. I think they just like they had their career there and then they passed away and that just happened. Ghost children are the most frequent seen among the hotel, and they believe that that is probably from the TB ward. And there's actually reviews if you go on Yelp. There's people who tell about their stay at Santa Paula, and they're like, wow, this is a really freaking boring town. But it's a cool hotel. It's just a shame that like there's ghost children who wake us up in the middle of the night, like playing with balls and riding tricycles down the halls.
Oh,
and
God.
The most common, for whatever reason, area to see ghosts is in room 308, and that is known as Houdini's room.
That's next door to
The other one, which I don't remember what I said.
Calvin's room.
So,
Oh.
in room 308, it's known as Houdini's room because there was a time when Houdini was traveling on the railway through Santa Paula, and the train had to stop at the station here in Santa Paula for repair, and he had to get out and go to his room and stay there for the night before they could continue on with their travels. But being Houdini, he had his chest full of magical things that he couldn't show to the public, so he actually stayed on the 3rd floor before it was an actual 3rd floor.
Like an attic?
I guess so. That's back when it was like the gambling brothel.
Oh,
because
okay.
he wanted all of his chests of tricks to go up there with him.
To be hidden.
And that was the only area that was big enough to support like all of his stuff.
How long was he staying there?
I don't think he was staying there for very long, but he couldn't leave that alone on the train.
I would have just slept on the train.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they had to switch trains.
Okay, yeah,
Who
sure.
knows?
Mm-hmm.
So in that room, people often see doors open and close on their own, which was mentioned before, and they also see shadow people.
Oh, that scares me.
I don't know what the hell a shadow person is, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the story of the Glen Tavern Inn. It is still very much haunted, and I want to stay there.
Let's do it.
And I want to hang out with ghosts.
Let's do it.
And yeah, maybe we can do some magic tricks and do some EVPing, whatever that means.
I looked it up on Amazon already.
What does it tell me?
Well, I didn't look up like what it was.
No, you need to tell me what it stands for.
It finds ghosts.
Well, I could have told you that.
It's right now there's one for 10% off. So I of course pick that one. But it is a metric EMF. So I don't know if that's
that's
the
a
same.
different thing.
So this is a metric electromagnetic field radiation detector, handheld mini digital LCD EMF detector.
So ghosts are magnetic, is what you're telling me.
They're electromagnetic. It can this EMF metric meter can if they can't write it correctly, I don't know if this is the right one for us to buy, but it says it can magnetic field emission to reach the optimal test result. It's widely used to test and learn electromagnetic radiation situation indoor and outdoor. No, these
I don't know what
sentences
any
don't
of that
make-
means.
These sentences aren't in.
Is it looking for radiation? Like where we're going to get cancer?
We don't want that one. We're going to find another one. And then we're going to stay at the Glen Tavern Inn.
Let's just
and
get
we're
it.
going to find ghosts.
Okay, how about this? We each get a couple gentlemen agreements. We get a Ouija board.
This has a spirit box.
What the fuck is a spirit box?
It's a ghost box scanner with spirit box and EVP recorder.
Does it come with ghosts?
Can we get a ghost?
Can we get
today?
a box of ghosts that will stay with us at the Glen Tavern? and tell us stories about cowboy days and gambling in brothels.
I'm super excited.
What are you getting?
I don't know. I'm gonna get this one though.
Oh Jesus!
Okay.
I mean, let's get it. Let's go to Target. Let's get a Ouija board.
I'm excited. Ouija boards
Oh,
scare me.
what? There's the other thing that ghost hunters or whatever they're called do, where they get the flashlights. Do you know the twisty kind? And they like slightly untwist them, and they're like, "Hey, ghost, if you can hear me, twist this flashlight." Have you seen that?
No,
You're
that's
looking at me like I'm
stupid.
high. No, it's not stupid.
That's
I
stupid.
swear. That's a
not real. That's your hand creating a
no.
gravity.
You're not touching it anymore.
pull, and
No,
the
you're
thing
sitting it-
slides so the light turns on. That's stupid.
You're not touching
Those
it
aren't
anymore.
real ghost hunters. I am a real ghost hunter, and I'm gonna get my spirit box.
All right.
And we're gonna go to the Glen
Coming
Tavern.
soon, ghost hunting, Glen Tavern. Well, that means we have to go to the Camarillo State Hospital too.
Yes.
That's gonna be way scarier because there's no beds and satellite TV there,
Mm-mm.
and jacuzzi tubs,
I don't want to stay at Scary
and
Dairy.
bars and
What are you
lasagna.
I'm excited.
Invite who?
Our listeners.
Oh God, no, I'll get murdered.
No, we don't have any.
You mean us?
You
You mean just the two of
That
us?
means you, Eric. You're listening to us. Well, okay, maybe we'll have our first meet and greet one day.
Oh God, no.
How cool would that be? Okay, anyways, so those were our redo stories of our previously horribly recorded local scary places.
That's right.
And
You know what?
next week we already picked our topic, but we're going to do another redo.
Oh shoot, yeah. Okay.
So we'll do a double deuce next time as well. All right.
Freaking disgusting.
Until next week.
Okay, bye.
Be a fountain.
Oh, sorry, not a drain.
Bye-bye.
Bye.